Okay, so we have just looked at the grounds for resentment, and let's come on to the next little verse. And this is a very famous verse that you will all have heard before. And it is found in many places in the Pali Canon. It is found in the Majjhima Nikaya 128, the Upakkilesasutta. It is found in the Dhammapada. It's a very famous verse from the Dhammapada. It is found in the Vinaya Pitaka as well, this particular verse. So it's kind of, so you know it is probably fairly original and authentic when it's found in so many places and also in the early suttas. And it is this one here, yeah? For never is hatred settled by hate. It's only settled by love. This is an ancient law. Yeah, very kind of beautiful verse, and this is the kind of thing that human beings forget all the time. They want revenge. They remember what was done wrong in the old days, and they carry on the hatred from one generation to the next one. This is human beings for you. Sometimes we are incredibly stupid as human beings. It's just amazing. And sometimes they literally carry on the hatred from one generation to the next one. I remember one of those things that really astonished me. I think I've mentioned it here before, but I read about this a long time ago, many years ago, and I hope I still have got it right. But this was when I think the British or the Americans, the British were doing wars in Afghanistan, that would have been while they were in India, so maybe late 19th century or something. They were warring in Afghanistan. And of course the Americans were there. When were the Americans there? That was more recently, 2000s something. And the Afghanis, they said, yeah, these Westerners, you can't trust them. Yeah, Alexander the Great was here recently, yeah, and he messed everything up. And we haven't forgotten that Alexander the Great came, and now you're all coming again. Yeah, so soon afterwards, only 2,300 years. Yeah, and now you're coming already. And so you carry on that hatred for 2,000 years. 2,000 years, yeah? And this is kind of how people work. And this is not the only one. This is kind of something you see in certain societies are more prone to carry on the hatred than others, but it's something that you see in these various societies around the world. But that is not the way forward. How on earth is anything ever going to be settled? Because then you take revenge, and then they take revenge on you, and you take revenge on them. It goes back and forth, and everyone has forgotten who was originally to blame. And so it's just an eternal cycle of revenge, and no one ever breaks that cycle, except if you read the suttas, and you say it is settled by love. Okay, now I understand. I thought I was going to settle it by hate. Okay, so you forgive, yeah, and you say, may you be well and happy here. You sit down, you come to the BGF, close your eyes, and may all beings be well and happy, and then you settle that hatred. And this is this ancient law, in other words, an ancient truth. That's kind of the idea with an ancient law. It's an ancient reality. It is how the world works. Yeah, that's kind of the point here. And so you forgive her, and you understand instead of just hating back. You have hurt me. It's beautiful, beautiful little verse. It's so simple. It's so obvious. That this must be true. And yet, can we live according to it? Very few people can, unfortunately. Yeah. Right, exactly. So, so there you are, exactly. So there's back and forth, yeah. Going back to the time of King David 3,000 years ago or whatever, and still kind of warring it out, something like that, yeah. So this is the Palestinians and Israel, the Middle East, yeah. Oh well, what to do? I guess we just have to get out of this mess, yeah. This is kind of why we're here, get out of this mess, which means becoming enlightened. That's what it means, getting out of this mess. All right. So now we are moving on to a new section of the suttas. We're going to look at the benefits of metta, the benefits of love, the benefits of friendliness, the benefits of this positive thing here. So, I haven't really said anything about this word yet, the word metta, because the word metta is Maitri in Sanskrit, and so you have Maitreya. Maitreya is the kind of the future Buddha of love, basically. And you have the word metta is derived from the word mitta. Mitta means friend, yeah? So it really means friendliness. And it means friendliness to a very high degree. And that's kind of important because the word love in English is kind of a bit ambivalent. Yeah? What does that exactly mean? When you say to someone, I love you, then it's kind of a bit different from what is meant by metta. I love you usually means romantic love. And this is not what is meant by the word metta. Metta is friendly love. It's what you have for a friend, for someone you appreciate, someone you have affection for, yeah, but not the same kind of affection you have for a child, but a broad kind of affection for somebody. Now, this is the idea of mitra, friendliness. So love is loving kindness is kind of okay as long as we remember exactly what it is referring to. So what are the benefits of this friendliness? And one of the things you will find out, there are many, many benefits. It's a very good idea to be friendly, to be as friendly as you can to all beings. So let us start to look at some of these suttas. So the first one is called the Snake King. I don't know if that's a good start or not, but we'll look at it anyway. The Snake King, this is a very famous sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 467, because this is one of the Paritta chants that we do quite often. And according to this Paritta chant, you can ward off all kinds of dangerous animal if you have metta. Yeah, so this is kind of one of the benefits of metta according to the suttas. So let's see how this happens. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, a monk in Savatthi passed away due to a snake bite. Then several mendicants went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side, and said to him, "Sir, a monk in Savatthi has passed away due to a snake bite." I like it the way they just go to the Buddha and they say it. They don't ask any questions, they just say. The monk, and I think they're kind of expecting a Dhamma talk or something in return. That's probably what it is. "Sir, this has happened. Please teach accordingly," or something like that. So, do you have people in Malaysia dying from snake bite? Does that happen? A lot? Not a lot. Not every day. Not very rare. Is it very rare? Okay, yeah. Yeah, in Australia it happens sometimes. Sometimes you get people dying from snake bite. Again, also very rare, maybe a few times a year in the whole country, but it happens. But apparently in India, it is still very common. Thousands of people apparently every year die from snake bite. So it's still very, very common. So many bad snakes in India. So and in Australia, in our monastery, we have snakes. I saw a snake very recently. The snake kind of crawling up, almost trying to get into my room, crawling up on the window. I have the fly netting on the windows. It cries up on the fly net. The snake is right there, almost looking at me. But it can't get through. So, okay. Make sure there's no holes in the fly netting. And some of these snakes are quite large. Tiger snakes can be 2 to 3 meters long, and quite fat, quite large. And they kind of look a bit scary. So you kind of withdraw wisely into a cutie when you see them on the walking path. But they are usually afraid. They are afraid of human beings. Human beings are much more dangerous than snakes. We are the most dangerous of all animals. Except for the BGFers, of course. You're not dangerous at all. But most human beings are very dangerous because we are so powerful compared to these snakes. But it's a nice kind of reminder of death as well. We're doing the death contemplation this morning. When you see a snake, it reminds you death is always just around the corner. You look around the corner, you see the snake coming. Death is around the corner, quite literally. So, okay, so let's see what the Buddha has to say. So how can we protect against this? So the Buddha says, "Mendicants, that monk must not have spread a mind of love to the 4 royal snake families. If he had, he wouldn't have died due to snake bite. What are those 4 families? The royal snake family of Virupaka, Erapata, Chabhyaputta, and Kannagotamaka. These are the 4. Mendicants, I urge you to spread a mind of love to the 4 royal snake families for your own safety, security, and protection." Yeah, so what are these royal snake families? What does this mean? Virupakka, Erapatta. I don't even know what this means. What they mean? Kanha means black. Gotama is like brown or something. Chabbyaputta. Not sure what that means. Anyways, there are these other snake families. So what are they? And one of the ways to think about this is that the various animals in the world, they have like also protectors, or they have leaders that exist in the heavenly realms, especially the four great kings, the Chatu Maharajika Deva, yeah, that there are kind of deities that kind of control these various animals, or are in charge of them, or somehow deal with them. And so when you have metta for the snake families, then it means, well, first of all, it means probably that those snakes, maybe they feel some of the metta, so they stay away from you, but also these higher deities, because they are always on the lookout for people who are very virtuous. And so if you have metta, you are the most virtuous possible. This is kind of the height of virtue, having metta for the whole world. And so they will look after you. And so if they are in charge of the snakes, they will keep the snakes at bay and kind of look after, make sure the snakes don't bite you. This is one theory for how this works. Is it true? Maybe it is true. I don't really know. But the world is more complicated than we think, and that is possible. That the various possibilities here for how this actually works. And generally speaking, remember the snakes, they leave you alone. Yeah, they are. Only if you step on the snake, okay, fair enough, you can understand why it gets a bit angry if you step on it, so it might bite you. But if you don't step on them, very unlikely they will bite you. At least that's the case for the Australian snakes. So we spread love to these four royal families. And then the Buddha gives this chant, and I think the chant is not the point. The chant, okay, I don't know to what extent the chant has power, but the main power is what the Buddha says here. You have to spread a mind of love to the four royal snakes. And the more powerful that metta is, the more power there is going to be in this chant, or in this way of thinking. So chanting is just is an additional thing, but you really have to do it. You have to have this metta. And the chanting, it's as follows, This is what you're kind of expressing in words, what you are doing in action. I love the Virupakkas, the Erapatas I love. I love the Chabbyaputtas, the Kanha Gotamakas I love. I love the footless creatures, the two-footed I love. I love the four-footed, the many-footed I love. Yeah, so this is one of the strange ways that they divide up creatures in ancient India. Footless are things like snakes, two-footed, things like birds, four-footed, tigers maybe, many-footed, centipedes, hundred-footed, centipedes, millipedes, thousand-footed. I love the thousand-footed. Doesn't have that there, but it's probably included in many-footed. Bahupada is a Pali word, many-footed. May the footless not harm me, may I not be harmed by the two-footed, may the four-footed not harm me, may I not be harmed by the many-footed. All sentient beings, all living beings, all creatures, everyone, may they see only nice things, may bad not come to anyone. See here means like experience, may they experience only nice things. See is like used in the metaphorical sense of see, of experience. Then comes the interesting part, I think, now. The Buddha is immeasurable, the teaching is immeasurable, the Sangha is immeasurable, but limited are the crawling things, snakes and scorpions, centipedes, spiders, lizards and mice. I've made this safeguard, I've made this protection. Go away, creatures. And so I revere the Blessed One. I revere the seven perfectly awakened Buddhas. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It's like, I love you all, but now please go away. It's kind of, the contrast is very interesting. But maybe, it's not necessarily wrong. It's just that it sounds a bit funny the way it is put here. So the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are immeasurable. And so the idea here is is that there is a kind of power behind these things, great power, and these other creatures are very limited, and so through the power of the immeasurable, kind of the limited kind of are kept in place, but in a beautiful way, kept in place in a nice way, through the power of the Dhamma, the power of the good qualities. And so I've made the safeguard, this is paritta that you see here, I made the protection as the paritta. And so here the word paritta means protection. And so we talk about paritta chanting, we're talking about protection chanting, and this is then one of these protection chants. What is the name of this paritta again, Venerable? Kanda paritta, exactly, Kanda paritta. So this is the famous Kanda paritta. All right. What don't you say? I think you say it. I don't think you have a choice because it's in the Pali here. Yeah, I think it's in the Pali here. Yeah, Pakkamantu, something like that. That's it. Patikamantu. That means go away here. Yeah. Retreat, that's like go away, right? Same thing. Retreat, go away, slightly different meaning, but almost the same thing, yeah. Very similar. Retreat, go back. Go away, So don't be so close to me, in other words. Retreat, go back a little bit. So maybe go away is a little bit too strong, but okay. Patikamati. Okay. So there you are. So this is kind of you can see it's interesting that the idea of parittas goes back to the earlier suttas. It's an ancient thing, the idea of protection. And many more protections are chanted these days. A lot of the chants that we do these days do not go back to the suttas. Some of them were invented as recently as the 19th century. King Mongkut in Thailand was famous for inventing chants. Some of the chants were made at that time. But some of them go back to the time of the Buddha himself, which is interesting. Okay, so now let us go on to the next sutta. This next one is called Families. And this is in the Samyutta Nikaya 20.3. 20 is, which Samyutta is that? That's the Vagga. You want the actual Samyutta? Is it Uppama Samyutta? Oh, really? Okay. So Uppama is the similes, exactly. This is the Samyutta on the connected discourses on similes. The third one called Families. Okay, so let's have a look at Savatthi. Mendicants, those families with many women and few men are easy prey for bandits and thieves. In the same way, a mendicant who has not developed and cultivated a heart's release by love is easy prey for non-humans. So this is kind of where it comes from, this idea that if you are very virtuous, then the spirits cannot touch you. Non-humans, amanusa, is usually a reference to spirits. Spirits, various gods, various petas, all kind of spirits. You are no longer easy prey. You can't be touched if you develop your mind in metta. So the higher your virtue, and the virtue here is reaching its pinnacle through metta practice, you are kind of safe in the world. You don't. The spirits leave you alone. They can't do anything here. Those families with few women and many men are difficult prey for bandits and thieves. In the same way, a mendicant who has developed and cultivated a heart's release by love is a hard prey for non-humans or ghosts and spirits. So, this is another nice benefit of metta. See, all of these benefits. No one can really hurt you anymore. Animals can't hurt you. Gods and various beings or spirits can't hurt you. You become very safe when you have metta. And of course, one of those interesting things about the idea of metta is that not only are you safe because these external beings don't want to touch you or they can't because they're held back or whatever, but you feel safe. That's the weird thing here. If you have a strong metta, you feel that nothing in the world can really touch you. And even if it can, the point is that, if you die, you have metta, you feel safe even when you die, because you know you're going to go to a good destination afterwards. You lose your fear of death when you have metta, because it's an intuitive feeling that nothing bad can happen to you. It's just intuition, you know that straight away. And so you become a very fearless person. Those people with a lot of metta, they do whatever. They're not really, they're not worried about things in the world. So arahants are not afraid when people with very powerful metta also are fearless, basically. They feel untouchable. So you should train like this. We will develop the heart's release by love. We'll cultivate it, make it our vehicle, our basis, keep it up, consolidate it, and properly implement it. That is how you should train. So this little paragraph here is actually a very important one. You see this in the suttas in many places, how to develop something fully. And this shows the full development. It is not easy to develop heart's release by love. It is very demanding. You have to keep on doing it all the time. Not only in formal meditation. In fact, the formal meditation is probably the least part of it, but in your daily life, in everything you do, in everything you act, in the way you think about people. And so you cultivate it, you keep on doing it. You make it your vehicle. Making it your vehicle means this becomes the path kind of becomes defined by your metta. Your metta becomes your way of practicing the path, in a sense. It becomes the basis, it's the foundation, the basis for all the higher states of mind, including the insights. This becomes like the way you stand on this, and you take it even further. You keep it up. In other words, you persevere. You keep on going. You never let it kind of slip. You consolidate it. You strengthen it again and again and again, making it stronger and stronger. You properly implement it. So these are just words to show you that it is demanding to do these kind of practices. And it takes a lot of perseverance and commitment, doing it again and again. And as you do so, then you can expect this kind of result, which is the heart's release by love. The metta ceto vimutti is the Pali word. Ceto is mind or heart. Vimutti is obviously release or liberation or freedom. And metta is metta. So metta ceto vimutti. The heart's release by love. Okay, so let us take another 5-minute break. Okay, let us carry on. So any further questions or comments, Venerable Piyadasi? Please don't ask too hard questions.
No.
Okay, thank you.
It's just a comment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ajahn. I think in the Vinaya Pitaka, the Buddha prescribed another kind of antidote for snake bite, right? Which is to take ash, urine,
right?
and poop,
right? And earth, Yeah, four things. The four great vikata, the four great or whatever they're called, mahavikati or whatever they're called.
When I read that, it sounds very strange.
It's I don't know. I mean, urine has some antiseptic qualities apparently. You can often use that to treat wounds, for example, and apparently it can be quite good. I heard of a monk in Thailand. I'm not sure if these stories are suitable for general consumption, but anyway, he used his own urine and he would evaporate the water, so it became like a paste. And they would use that paste to kind of treat wounds and things like that. So apparently it is quite good. It's quite common for monks to drink their own urine. It's kind of a common thing. And apparently it's supposed to be quite healthy thing to do. So I think there's kind of a variety of things that are going on. I'm not sure what it is. Right, exactly. There was it was used as a medicine in general as well. That's right. Yeah.
Ajahn, good morning.
Please.
Okay, I like to ask Ajahn this question.
Yeah.
The Metta Sutta says, when we read out the Metta Sutta, it says, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies, downwards to the depths.
Yeah.
So, am I correct to relate it this way? When a person reads the Metta Sutta, all right,
Yeah.
these kindness actually go up and down means to hell. So, for example, in the Peta world, no doubt they may not be able to practice, right? But when they listen to the kindness of the prayers, right? That itself, and the families rejoice for them in that sense. Through the sharing of merit, that itself they can receive.
Maybe,
Maybe that's this part which is the question mark.
I don't know. There isn't really any clear indication that they can receive it, so I'm not sure. The idea, remember the main point about this is actually from the practitioner's point of view. It's good for you if you do it. And when you do it, it's supposed to be universal. So down can mean the hell realms, up can mean the devil, but it doesn't have to mean that. It can also just mean that you spread it everywhere without any constriction or restraint. You go everywhere. So everywhere includes down. So whether that is to be understood as hell realm, it probably includes that, but it's not limited to that. It's just a general everywhere idea, which is the point here.
Because I'm thinking that when there is some disasters like airplane crash and the people all died, right? Then the monks will come together and they will do some chanting. So that chanting has two prongs. One for the families, for them to be able to calm their mind, that they have invited the monks to do this chanting to the dead departed ones. Is that
it's correct?
correct?
So I would say any good Buddhist funeral service is for both the people who are left behind and also for the people who have died. So for both. So it is for those who died and also for those who are left behind.
Okay, last question. So for a lay
I don't
person,
believe it. Anyway, sorry. No, I'm being naughty. I apologize. Please.
Okay, last question for this slot. Okay. For a lay person who is starting out on the Dharma journey, am I correct to understand that when we do the recollection of the triple gems, recollection of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and the Metta Sutta is actually put us into a psyche, and when we read it more often, then it becomes a conviction and start to build up the inner qualities in us, in body, mind, and speech. Am my comprehension correct, Ajahn?
Yeah, that's largely correct, because remember the idea of recollecting the triple gem, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, is to remember the qualities of the Buddha. And as you get used to this idea, it becomes more real after a while. You can start to relate to the Buddha in a proper way. In the beginning, the Buddha is just like a concept, someone far away. You don't really know what it is. After a while, you get used to the idea of the Buddha. He becomes more real. He becomes like your teacher in a sense. And so, absolutely, so that this is a part of it. Is to inspire you and to kind of make it a reality. Yes.
Good morning, Ajahn.
Good morning.
I think that sutta is very interesting, but the reality is, I think I still struggle to like lizards and snakes even after the chant. So, is it purposeful to try and build greater metta by actually building a sense of loving kindness to the creatures rather than to just read the words, if you like?
Yeah, absolutely. So
but how it's difficult?
It's difficult. Well, remember that they are suffering beings, right? Remember that when we talk about metta, we are not really making a clear distinction between metta and karuna. Karuna is compassion. Remember, they are suffering. It's really hard to be a snake in the world, you know. Being an animal is enormous amounts of suffering and difficult, and they crawl around trying their very best to make a living in this world. And then the human beings come after them and chase them and try to club them to death because they hate snakes. This is what majority of human beings do. They don't, they really They don't like snakes at all. And so being a snake is rough. And so of course and they have feelings. They don't want. They are frightened of us. They come into this shape and they look scary to us, but actually they are frightened. And they probably think, no, don't hurt me. Yeah, I want to just live peacefully. I just want to, do my thing or whatever. So you have to try to see the world a little bit from the snake's perspective. You have to put yourself into the snake mind, trying to see the snake mind. Can you do that? Yeah. And this is how you have metta for them. Kind of something like that. I think you don't really have friendliness with snakes in quite the same way that you have for humans. So I think here metta is a broad kind of emotion that includes compassion and everything. One of the things that you find in the sutta is you have 4 Brahma Viharas, but the first Brahma Vihara, the metta, is the most important one. And I think it's largely inclusive of the other ones to a large extent. Maybe not Upekkha, but it is a kind of very inclusive thing. And so metta is used for that kind of broad sense of kindness towards other beings. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Ajahn, going back to MN 128, is talking about Upakkilesa. What's the difference between Upakkilesa and Kilesa?
Oh, this is profound. Okay, I don't need to go there. No, this is a very good question actually, because one of the things that you find if you go around the Buddhist world, mostly people talk about kilesa and not upakkilesa. In Thai they say kilet. The kilet means kilesa. It's the Thai pronunciation of kilesa. And the reality is that the word kilesa is mostly found in the commentaries, whereas upakkilesa is a term used mostly in the suttas. Kilesa is used occasionally in the suttas, but very rarely. Like there's a couple of places in the Anguttara 3s, whereas upakkilesa used quite commonly, and also sankilesa is another word that is used, and also kind of found quite frequently in the suttas. The main meaning of upakkilesa is like a refined defilement. So Upakkilesasutta is called that because the monks are practicing really well. They already have nimittas, they have lights in the mind, they're getting good samadhi, but they can't go all the way to the jhana. And so they're asking, what is the upakkilesa, what is the refined defilement that blocks us from getting to full samadhi, the full jhana states? You go to the Vattupamasutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 7, the simile of the cloth sutta, and they talk about upakkilesa there as well. And it's a long list of kind of special defilements that you find there. Things like, domineering and denigration and all of these kind of special bad emotions that people have. So there's a long list because the bad emotions are a lot of bad emotions that we can have as human beings, but they are often kind of unified into a few. In the 5 hindrances, only a few that are mentioned. And so the last thing that is called upakkilesa is actually the 5 hindrances. They are also called upakkilesas. And that is a very interesting point because that suggests that the hindrances are actually refined defilements. That's what it suggests. And if you look at where the 5 hindrances are placed in the gradual training, it's always immediately before the 4 jhanas. That's where you find them. It's after sense restraint, after sati sampajanya, but before the 4 jhanas. And that's where they are. So it suggests that when we're dealing with the 5 hindrances, we're not dealing with any kind of defilement. We're dealing with the refined defilements that stop us from entering samadhi. So similar to the Upakkilesasutta. And so very often we talk about 5 hindrances, but actually we shouldn't really be talking about that because the defilements are often way too coarse to really be called the 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances is when you have mindfulness is established, you are watching the breath fairly easily, but there are defilements that block you from making progress to real samadhi and real jhana. That's the 5 hindrances. If your mind is all over the place, you haven't even got mindfulness, then it's a more coarse defilement that is at stake. And you need to resolve that by ethical conduct, by sense restraint, by sampajanya, and these kind of things. Developing metta, like we're talking about now, it is kind of resolved by that. And so, so it's a gradual removal of defilements, deeper and deeper and deeper, and then eventually the complete liberation from them. So, yeah. So kilesa is a commentarial term found mostly in the commentaries, and that is a very interesting point. The fact that we then, in the Buddhist world, people usually use the word kilesa rather than upakkilesa, because it means that we are very heavily influenced by the commentaries. We use the commentarial language more than we use the sutta language. Most people are not even aware of that. They have no idea that they're using commentarial language, but actually they are. And there are many examples of that. One is for example, the way that people talk about samadhi. They talk about kanika samadhi, upachara samadhi, and appana samadhi. In the suttas, there's no kanika samadhi, there's no upachara samadhi, and there is not even appana samadhi. It's called appana samadhi, is instead called jhana in the suttas. So the commentarial language is used. Another example that I use often is you come to the contemplation of the body in the Satipatthana Sutta. They talk about how many parts of the body again? 31, 32, 32, 31. We had two different opinions here. So this is the interesting thing, this 31, 32 thing, you see. Because this 32 is the commentarial number of parts. 31 is the sutta number of parts. If you ask people, okay, people here know already because I've mentioned this before many times, so some of you will know this already. But actually the sutta is 31 parts. The reason why people say 32 is because they come from the commentarial tradition. That's in the Visuddhimagga, there's 32 parts. It includes the brain, not found in the suttas. And so often when we discuss the Dhamma, we are discussing the commentaries rather than the suttas. And we don't know the difference very often because it's all meshed into one thing. Yeah, it's all kind of one blob called the Dhamma, and we can't distinguish between one and the other. But that can be a bit dangerous because it's not always exactly the same. The commentaries are usually very important and usually reliable and interesting and whatever, but sometimes they may not be, and then it's good to know the distinction between the two. Yeah, and this is what you're pointing out here between kilesa and upakkilesa is precisely one of those areas that you see a distinction. And kilesa in the suttas usually means the coarser kind of kilesas. Upakkilesa means refined, and it's so we need to make that distinction. Sankilesa is another nice word. Yeah, that is. I'm not sure whether that means refined or all-encompassing. I haven't really investigated that word in such detail. Upa means towards, but the prefix. The thing about these prefixes is that they have very many different meanings, and they are often very general meanings, and very often they are just used to distinguish one word from another one, and so it just makes you create a new word basically. Sometimes that word will have a meaning that reflects the meaning of the prefix, but sometimes got nothing to do really with what the prefix means. So upa usually means towards or something like that. So you have upasankammati is to move towards upa, etc. Anyway, we shouldn't talk too much Pali grammar, I think. We get into trouble. Do you know Pali, Billy? Are you Pali scholar? No? Okay. You come to our Pali classes. Pali classes online available, We'll teach you real Pali.